The famous Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799, became the key that allowed scholars to decipher the lost language of ancient Egypt. For more than 2,000 years, this block of stone remained silent, guarding secrets that would completely change how we understand the history of civilization. But what if everything we believe we know about it is only part of the truth? What if the message engraved there is much more complex than we imagine? Before we move on, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment on what you think of this discovery, because what comes next could completely change the way you see this artifact. For a long time, it was believed that the enigma of the Rosetta Stone had already been solved. Books, lectures, and documentaries reinforced the idea that it contained only an official decree in honor of Pharaoh Ptolemy V, written in 3 different scripts to reach the entire population of Egypt. A problem solved, a mystery closed. But recently, a new analysis yielded something unexpected. Researchers decided to re-examine the entire text using artificial intelligence, the same type of technology capable of interpreting forgotten languages and damaged manuscripts. Instead of relying solely on human interpretation, the AI analyzed every minute detail, every symbol, every linguistic pattern engraved in the stone. And what it revealed surprised even the most experienced experts. According to this analysis, the text may contain hidden layers of meaning that have gone unnoticed for centuries. Unusual linguistic structures, subtle variations, and possible coded messages may be hidden beneath what has always been considered merely a political decree. If this is correct, the Rosetta Stone would not only be a translation tool, but a record with much deeper intentions. When the stone was found in the Rosetta region of Egypt and later brought to the British in 1801, it was initially described as a simple block with 3 types of writing. This simplified view ended up generating misinterpretations about its nature. Upon arriving in England, attempts were made to make the inscriptions more visible by applying clear substances to the letters and subsequently covering the surface with wax for protection. This completely altered its appearance, leading to the belief for decades that it was made of dark basalt. Only in 1999, after a thorough cleaning, was its true composition revealed: a dark gray stone with a slight pinkish tint visible on its surface. Geological studies have shown that it likely came from a specific region near Aswan, Egypt, where this type of rock is found. This detail helped confirm its origin and reinforced its historical authenticity. Physically, the stone is impressive. It measures approximately 1.12 meters in height, 74 centimeters in width, and weighs about 760 kilograms. But what truly makes it unique is not its size, but rather the content engraved on its surface. It features 3 distinct forms of writing. At the top are hieroglyphs, used in religious and formal contexts. In the middle is Demotic, the writing of everyday Egyptian life. And at the bottom is Ancient Greek, the administrative language of the time. For a long time, it was believed that these 3 versions conveyed exactly the same message. However, the stone we know today is incomplete. The upper part, where the hieroglyphs are located, suffered significant damage and lost several lines. Comparisons with other monuments from the period indicate that the original piece was larger and probably included elements that are now lost. And that's precisely where new questions arise. What exactly was lost? And did those missing parts contain essential information for understanding the true meaning of the text? The decree engraved on the stone was issued by priests gathered in the city of Memphis in 196 BC, during the reign of Ptolemy V. It praises the young pharaoh, mentions his actions, and establishes that the text should be reproduced in temples throughout Egypt. But there's something strange. The dates mentioned in the text don't perfectly match across the 3 versions. For years, this was considered just an error or an administrative inconsistency. However, artificial intelligence analyzed these differences differently. According to AI, these variations may not be errors, but rather part of an intentional structure. In other ancient texts, similar patterns appear when a message has multiple levels of interpretation, one visible and another hidden. Furthermore, by analyzing the hieroglyphic version, the most formal and sacred one, the AI identified linguistic patterns that do not appear in other similar decrees from that time. These patterns more closely resemble texts of warning or admonition than simple political praise. This raises an intriguing possibility. What if the priests were not only celebrating the pharaoh, but also trying to record something they couldn't say openly? To understand this, it's important to remember the historical context. Egypt at that time was in crisis. The young Ptolemy V assumed power as a child, after the violent death of his parents. The government was unstable, with internal disputes and external threats. At the same time, the empire faced invasions and territorial losses, as well as internal revolts that fragmented the country. It was a period of great uncertainty. Within this context, the priests of Memphis, one of the highest religious authorities in Egypt, produced this decree. Officially, it reinforced the king's legitimacy and consolidated political alliances. But AI analysis suggests there may be more to it than that. Certain numerical patterns and references in the text appear to transcend the immediate context of the decree. When compared with astronomical records from the time, they may point to events that the priests interpreted as signs of something greater. Not just political changes, but possible signs of an imminent collapse. This doesn't necessarily mean a literal prediction of the end, but it indicates that the authors of the text were deeply concerned about the future. And perhaps they used the stone, an object meant to last for centuries, as a way to record that fear. If this is true, the Rosetta Stone ceases to be merely an administrative document and becomes a coded testimony of a time of crisis. For centuries, humanity struggled to decipher hieroglyphs. After the decline of ancient Egypt, knowledge of this writing was completely lost. For a long time, it was believed that the symbols were merely decorative. Only after the discovery of the Rosetta Stone was it possible to begin reconstructing this system. Researchers compared the Greek text with Demotic and, later, with hieroglyphs, trying to identify patterns. The major breakthrough came in the 19th century, when scholars realized that hieroglyphs were not only symbolic, but also phonetic. This finally allowed for the reading of the ancient Egyptian language. From then on, the Rosetta Stone was considered one of the greatest discoveries in history. The mystery seemed solved. But now, with the use of artificial intelligence, a new layer of interpretation emerges. One that suggests that, even after 2 centuries of study, perhaps we still haven't fully understood what is recorded there. AI doesn't replace human work, but it expands our analytical capabilities. It can identify patterns that would be impossible to perceive manually, especially in such ancient and complex texts. And that's exactly what happened here. By analyzing the linguistic structures, inconsistencies, and hidden patterns, the AI pointed to something that may have gone unnoticed by generations of scholars: the possibility of a secondary message hidden within the main text. If this message truly exists, we still don't know exactly what it means. It could be a warning, a deeper historical record, or even something symbolic that we haven't yet been able to fully interpret. What we do know is that the Rosetta Stone remains one of the most fascinating artifacts ever discovered. And perhaps, even after all we've learned from it, we are still only beginning to understand its true significance. History has shown us that each advance in the interpretation of this object has revealed something new. And now, with the help of modern technology, we are facing yet another possible revelation. The Rosetta Stone was never just a key to translating a lost language. It may be much more than that. It could be a carefully crafted message designed to stand the test of time. And perhaps only now are we finally ready to begin to truly read it.